Hello and welcome to our lecture for Chapter 10, Stockholders' Equity. We are going to start by explaining certain functionalities and features of a corporation. There are advantages and disadvantages. The good thing about a corporation is you can raise more capital, right, than you're just being a sole proprietorship or a partnership. Remember, a sole proprietorship is a company owned by one person, and a partnership is two or more. Corporations don't really die. They have a continuous life. People die. So to transfer ownership is easier, and there's limited liability. The stockholders aren't liable for the debts of the company. Now, the disadvantages is you have a separation and you have a conflict between management and ownership. And then you're taxed double. You're taxed not, on your distributed profits. You're taxed at the time you earn them, and you're taxed individually. And then there's a lot of regulation. So corporate organizers, basically what you do is you obtain a charter. So that charter tells you that you can issue shares. So these articles of incorporation pretty much dictate, hey, who's going to pay the fee, how those articles of incorporation are going to be, where those documents will be filed, and what bylaws, if any, are going to be created. So here you see pretty much the structure of a corporation. So you have stockholders. Stockholders elect the board of directors. Remember, the board of directors has two subcommittees, an audit subcommittee and a compensation subcommittee. And the audit and compensation subcommittee are just subsets of the board of directors. Then you have a chairman of the board, which is the CEO oftentimes, which is a conflict, right? Because how can the CEO go ahead and make his own compensation or her own compensation? Then you might have a COO. There might be others like CFO, the chief financial officer. Right here, that's also could be part of the C-suite. Then you have several others, and here's your accounting controller as well. So stockholders have voting rights, right? So basically they have a right to vote on matters that come up. Dividends are received, so it's basically a right to receive dividends. Your liquidation, you are right to receive a proportionate share of any assets remaining after the company pays its liabilities. And you might have a preemption, basically to maintain your proportion of the ownership in the company. So two accounts you need to be aware of are additional paid-in capital, and this is also known as contributed capital, excuse me. And then the amount of equity that stockholders have contributed. What this includes is some stock accounts and common stock or preferred stock, and additional paid-in capital. Retained earnings, that's basically increased through your profitable operations, getting your net income, and it is reduced by your dividends. You should have in your Excel retained earnings, beginning balance, plus net income minus dividends equals your ending balance. Remember, dividends are not an expense, and dividends are a contra equity account. So this is what a stock certificate would look like. Here is your par value, 0.05, the name, Home Depot, who is the stockholder in this case, and how many shares does he have? 1. So common and preferred stock. Common is the basic. It has those 4 basic rights that we just discussed. And basically, most of the time, this is where you purchase. Now, preferred stock is they get dividends first. So that's why people like that. And then they receive assets first also in liquidation. And most of the time, they earned a fixed dividend. So here we have just types of stock and their dividend and interest, if they're deductible or not. And you can just see all the different classes, and notice we have debt here. Because remember, we're able to, these two would be equity financing, and then here is our debt financing. So par value and no par value. What you need to know is that par value is an arbitrary amount, and it's usually low, and it's basically, most states do not allow companies to issue stock below par. No par is then a stated value, which you will see, most common you'll see some par value. All right, we're going to stop right here and then pick it up in the next lecture.